Sports fans, welcome. St. Louis Syndicate. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We are in green today. It just finished up. It's not St. Patty's Day. Brandon's got the lucky shirt on. I've got my Mizzou military
Yeah.
on. It just so happens, but you know what? We'll just say luck of the Irish. We're going to go for, we just finished up with March. It's April Fool's Day. We're tricking you guys out, doing a few things on our recording. We're here to bring you a couple of good divisions as we prepare for the football draft coming up here in just a few weeks, Brandon. Been doing anything fun before we get dived into the review?
I recovering from that spring training trip,
Yeah.
that was you don't think that much driving is gonna take it out of you until you
Yeah.
do it, and then I've just been hanging out, and I March Madness is insane. We haven't really
Yeah.
talked about this,
Yeah.
but I I checked out on that Duke game
Yeah.
with, I don't know, 5 minutes into the second half.
Sure.
I went like, "All right, this is done." And I was sitting there, I looked up, luckily, and there was 10 seconds left. The guy was shooting free throws. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he shoots the free throw and the ball goes out of bounds and you go, "This is over." And then he throws that pass and I we've had a lot of buzzer beaters in March Madness. I don't know that I could pick one out that was more odd than that.
Yeah, it was odd, wasn't it? That's a good description. Odd. Just odd.
Yeah, because it's just like, look, you get the buzzer beaters every year. You get the underdogs coming back, usually not from 19 down,
No.
but to go, I've got the ball. All I have to do is not get hung up.
Yeah.
I think UConn had the possession arrow. So I think if they could have hung him up, they would have taken the ball back from him.
Yeah.
But if you just keep moving, they have to foul you at some point.
Yeah.
And instead, he tries to go right up and over two guys. And I don't know that I've ever seen somebody panic like that late in a game.
Not Chris Webber called timeout when he didn't have one.
Okay, so that is a really good one to bring up because that is a extremely odd way to lose a game as well. Yes, that is probably how far you have to go back to
Yeah.
find as odd of an ending to a March Madness game. Then yeah, because again, that was a panic thing. He got trapped, and the center of your brain goes, call timeout. And then you realize, I don't have one. And so the ball's, going the other direction. But, it's a very interesting thing to go, hey, we have this team. And if you just put pressure on them,
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to cause somebody to do. It was a lot of fun watching all those games. That one was quite a cap to get us to the Final Four. So I'm excited for this weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully Illinois can take all of these Eastern European guys they brought over and make their way through.
I did see that Illinois, who's the other one? One of the Final Four teams.
What's Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, and UConn?
Michigan and Illinois are two of the top NIL spends.
Okay.
I read an article about the breakdown. Arizona's not in that, and UConn spent a lot in their own right, but Michigan and Illinois have spent the most. And the teams that were in the top 8 all were like top 10, top 12 spends of NIL dollars. They took different
fund in
paths.
Illinois. I've never heard of top donors
It's a great
in
question.
Illinois. That's not very far from here.
No.
Like normally you kind of hear about guys if one of the schools is going big with somebody opening the checkbook.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know where it came from. They took different strategies though. Illinois went with the European path and paid those players, and
Yeah.
Michigan went with, taking studs and building from that. Now UConn is taking advantage of the fact that they don't have football, and so most of their funds funnel in to them. So that's a big deal as well. I'm sure Arizona spent plenty, but I didn't read much about Arizona.
Yeah.
Those 3 schools were highlighted in the article about the spend, and it just once again puts this whole college football, baseball, basketball, softball, all of it into the reality check of it's a business now. It was a business before, but now it's Now it's really a business. And these schools need to start doing things like having HR departments, contract negotiations that are appropriate for, signing players and, if you leave early, non-compete clauses. I mean, you're going to go to a
Yeah.
school that can't compete in the Big 12 if you're going to leave, after you sign your non-compete clause. I mean, they're going to have to
Yeah.
start doing some things to adjust, and probably the NCAA can't put the snakes back in the can after all this is out, but the
No,
lawyers
no.
will do it probably at some point.
Well, I mean, they'll figure out some way to get some guardrails around it at least over time. I mean, that's the crazy thing. You're right. Like we talk about, I got a friend at work that is a big Ole Miss fan
Okay.
and came right down to the end of the year. That quarterback there, he
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
make it through, they lose. And she's like, damn, like he's out of eligibility. He wants to come back. I was like, he's gonna get to come back. Like, oh man, I don't think so. I'm like, well, I I don't know anybody with a name that's been denied yet.
Yeah.
Like, you find a court that's in Mississippi, and
Yeah.
they go, "Yeah, we'll give him another year." You're
Yeah.
like, "Of course you will." Like, I want my top flight quarterback to come back. Like,
Right.
you know, I it's gonna take, 20 years to adjudicate all of this stuff because there's nobody that has the capacity to wrangle both sides.
No.
Like at least as much as the pro leagues and the players unions bang heads, they at least have a singular focus of like a professional league. The NCAA is just too bifurcated to get everybody in one spot. Like the NCAA just isn't going to do it. You
Yeah.
need some sort of college sports oversight, at like a federal level to go, okay, we're going to bring everybody to the table and make some sort of rules. And I think every state's going to have different rules, and it's just
Totally
going to be
agree.
chaos.
Totally.
It'll just turn into probably a minor league sort of thing.
Yeah. They're going to have to do something. It's just, as time goes, going to be ridiculous if they just continue to allow it to spin out of control. But that's not what we're here for, Brandon. We can save that for another
No,
episode. Our
we're
fans are
here for
here
the
going,
guys
"You
that are
two shut
leaving.
up." And we're the guys leaving and going pro. We're going to talk about those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
We're up for the AFC North. All right. Now this is a pretty good division overall competitively. Talent-wise, I would say that they're lacking a little bit behind some of the other divisions. They've got a lot of questions and a lot of turnovers in the division as a whole. When you talk about their coaching scenarios, we could spend probably an entire episode on just the four coaches in the AFC North. But we're not going to do that. We're going to take a look at where we're at. The team that came in last, the Brownies,
yeah,
I think you've got a little bit of an update on what they're doing, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
yeah, yeah. So Cleveland, Cleveland finished up the year 5-12. They did end up winning their last two games behind Pro Bowler Fedor Sanders.
Yeah, Pro Bowler.
I don't know where you're at with this. I have a hard time engaging with the internet with the level of people that think that Shador is basically Dion playing quarterback now. Like
Yeah,
it's mind boggling. It makes me want to believe it's always a bit, but the people are so steadfast about it that I don't really believe that there could be this many people dedicated to this bit.
that's right.
So I don't know. I'm excited to get into this year and see, hey, are we going to start him? Are we bringing back Watson? What are we doing? Are we going to draft a seventh quarterback? Are they going to try to play all quarterbacks at some point? They're collecting them like they're Pokemon cards. I don't know what's happening here, but so far they have been, the market is 6.5 wins.
Okay.
shaded towards the under.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go bet that right now. That is not gonna be a runoff and bet for me.
No, but I think, when you get to the end of your year and you do win those last 2 games, which, is a nice thing. It gets your fans kind of moving in the right direction, but the reality was that they ended the season being the 29th team, the 29th offense, and the 14th defense.
Okay.
So, Myles Garrett holding it down on the defensive side, setting records, while the offense just fumbles along trying to figure out which direction to run on the field.
There's gonna be somebody holding up a
Now,
sign, like free Miles Garrett.
it's
Jeez.
been it's been years. I mean, like, the astonishing thing, right, is that he hasn't circled back to his I wanting like, okay, I set that record. You're right. I was able to play here successfully. But like for real, I want out of this mess.
Yeah.
Like they talked him out of it last year and then did nothing but draft quarterbacks all afternoon and then run back out there. And look, that's a wild record to set and hold by yourself. Especially when they know you're coming.
Yeah.
Like it's not competitive team. It's not Strahan setting the record when the Giants were good.
Right.
So you had to play competitively with him. As soon as you're up on Cleveland, you just run the ball away from him. And they tried at the end of the season. I mean, he definitely had to slow down because nobody wants to be the last guy unless you're Brett Favre. Um, so they just, they were trying to play keep away with him, and he still got there and he set the record. So, that's pretty incredible. That'll be exciting going into the year. It's unfortunate with Watson, right? That he's just a dirtbag because he was such an electric quarterback those first couple of years in Houston. And he was supposed to be what, you know, so many of these guys now are. Where like, hey, I'm kind of mobile. I've got a great arm. Like I'm not exactly like a running quarterback, but I'll slip away from you and disappear if you don't keep me, Josh Allen tight. Not as big, but in that same vein. And then to just get injured and then basically sit out a whole year and then blow up your entire career. Cleveland would be the only if you just went, let's blindfold some people and go, who's the team that gives somebody $250 million guaranteed to a guy who's in the middle of getting sued by most of the women in Texas?
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, it's going to be Cleveland. And it's like,
Oh, there they are.
You're like, there you go. Like, at least the Jets can always point to that.
Yeah.
They're like, we're bad. We're bad every year.
We didn't do that though.
But we didn't do that. And when they did that, nobody went like, oh, not the Jets. So, like, at least we have that out of the way.
That's so true.
We have useless owners and managers, but we don't do absolutely reckless nonsense like that. So, yeah, Vegas thinks, hey, maybe they pick up another game and a half, which seems wild. When you get to the end of the season and you have 3 wins and then you win the last 2 on a fluke,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And then you go, hey, next year we think we're going to pick up another 2 wins on top of that. I don't see what here. They've re-signed, a collection of guys that nobody's ever heard their name. Some offensive linemen, linebacker, a tight end, a wide receiver. They lost one of their offensive linemen. He went down to Houston. They traded away another offensive lineman to Houston for a 5th-round pick. It's a whole bunch of nothing so far. They just kind of stayed pat.
Yeah.
They have the 6th and the 14th pick in the first round this time. So now you're just staring at this draft order going, you need offense. Like they need defense too, but when you have the 14th ranked defense and the 29th ranked offense to end the year, you need to go find a way to get some offense. So, the thing that we've kind of been talking about that it sits up at the top of this list here in Love. I haven't heard any real whispers about Cleveland getting froggy and maybe doing a truly ridiculous thing, like going and trying to grab a franchise running back when you don't have any pieces. So
Right.
hopefully we'll dodge that. Love will get to a better franchise than Cleveland at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still have to look here in the center of the first, this kind of right behind the top 2, 3 players and go, what are we going to try to do at 6? Me, I think you just have to end up taking a tackle. Like, I don't know what else you do. If you're going to send some combination of Watson, Sanders, who's our buddy from Oregon? Gabriel, Dylan
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel.
What I think they've got 2 other quarterbacks running around there.
Yeah.
Whole quarterback room for the guys. I think you're going to start protecting them. So, I think at that 6 spot, you've got a whole section of guys here. Fano, Maga, One, 6, 7, 8, 9 rankings right now. I think you got to grab one of those guys because you have to start building up some sort of protection to buy yourself some time to hopefully do something. And then when you get down to that 24th pick, then start looking at, do we have a wide receiver that we can bring in that can help us with trying to move the ball? We've got Cooper Jr. down here towards the middle of the 20s, Denzel Boston coming out of Washington. One of those guys, I think, if it's me, I'm Cleveland, you got to go offense here. You got to go some protection and then get some sort of skill player, whoever your favorite wide receiver that's sitting out there that's still left that I don't know how you go into the year trying to run this, hey, we're going to have a real team, but we don't have any weapons really for everybody to play with. So that's
Yeah.
kind of my thoughts on Cleveland here.
Yeah. I think Cleveland just they're gonna take a wide receiver in the first round. The question will be, will they reach early for Carnell Tate, or will they try to see if like Jordan Tyson falls in their lap later? I don't think Tyson will fall that far, to be honest. I do not think that Omar Cooper Jr. is going to fall that far. I will say, though, to your point, if Jeremiah Love makes it past Tennessee and the 4 hole, which I can't even imagine how that's possible, other than the fact that Saleh is a defensive minded coach, you could see Love fall right into him. I mean, I can't imagine that the Giants would take Love at 5 because they've got Scatterboo as going to be their feature, and then they've got Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think still, and a couple of guys. I don't know. You probably know more about the Giants than I do because we're going to cover them in our next episode. But
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll be doing there, but I can say that Love could fall into that hole, and they have no dynamic playmakers, but they need offense and they need a tackle. So I agree with you on that. So we'll see how bad they screw this up, which could be significantly. It's, we know Cleveland doesn't do well. They've got 2 shots to not screw this up, and I think they're gonna.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the odds on outcome in my mind.
Yeah.
But I think if it's me, I don't go get yourself sucked into a wide receiver at 6.
Yeah.
Get somebody, and then there's going to be, double up. Grab a wide receiver at the end of the first, look for one in the second or the third, try to find, somebody that can work for whatever kind of offense they want to try to run and get somebody that fits it mid-draft and
Yeah.
see if you can start building this wide receiver room back up. I mean, it's not like they are just completely devoid of anybody, but it's just they don't have a number 1
No,
really.
they really don't.
You have to figure out a way to take a couple of shots at opening up the field to whatever quarterback you're going to try to run out there.
Yeah. I do see several boards showing Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, the junior, being taken by the Browns in that slot. In both those instances, Jeremiah Love was off the board, but I don't know. We'll see. We will
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I think Love is, if the Commanders could get him to fall in their lap, that'd be something. Anyway, we're not gonna stick around and talk about that. We're gonna make a move over to Cincinnati, where we're gonna talk about a guy who I have no idea how he still has a job. I mean, how is Zach Taylor still a coach in the NFL? This
Because the owner is one of the cheapest MFers on earth
Yeah, that's true.
and is not going to pay two head coaches at the same time.
No, which in theory shouldn't happen for most teams and coaches. So you got to respect the business side of it. But this guy's been around since 2019, and he's bad. Though
Yeah.
it did boost him. I think he caught some benefit of a young, hungry Burrow. Burrow is the youngest quarterback in the league on the backside of his career. Is kind of how I look
Yeah.
at it. I
Uh-huh.
mean, he should
Yeah, that's a great way to explain that.
yeah, he should still be trending upwards and hitting his plateau, and I think he's on the downside of his career. They don't have very many years left. Their window's open. They've got a line that says they finished 6-11, but the Burrow factor by itself, him being back, has Vegas lining them up at 9.5. They need to win now, right? Cincinnati cannot rebuild. They have to win now, but they're not acting like a team that is going to win now when you're getting rid of Trey Hendrickson, when you're just letting that happen. That's not a win now. That should be an anchor for your team, and you should be building around it in the draft. I mean, their draft needs to be defense, defense, defense. They need safeties, defensive backs, corners, linebackers, edges. They need it all, and they have no help anywhere. The offense is fine. We're going to move on from the offense. We're not even going to really talk about it, right? Burrow is the key. If he stays healthy and the trigger man, then you've got Chase and Higgins. They're fine. You've got Chase Brown running around out there. They're going to be fine. The defense is the only thing that is going to tell if we can improve or not. I was looking earlier at the defense, trying to determine if they've done any major updates to their free agency pick, and they have added almost nobody. They added Boye Mafe out of Seattle and Brian Cook from Kansas City, who was just kind of okay when he was in Kansas City at free safety. They have not done anything from a free agency perspective to really improve themselves like they needed to. It's looking at their defense is actually very, very embarrassing that they ran that team out there and didn't make any changes. So I'm not expecting big things. This is actually probably for me a lean to the under, and that would be more of a gamble against Burrow's health. The guy hasn't played a full season in 3 years. So I'm gonna say
Yeah.
he's not gonna do it this year. This is the NFL. They actually hit you in this league and it hurts. He's not interested in playing through pain at this point in his career. He probably is not interested in getting headshots when he's thinking about retiring and made those comments that he's not having fun anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this as an under 9.5 play. I can see them winning 7, 8 games easily, which means that mark of having to win 10 feels like a real stretch for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Draft wise, if they can let this guy fall to them, they have the 10th overall pick. Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, a backer, would be killer fill in that defense. They need backer help bad. The guys they've got are young and just Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight are who's sitting there, and they they're both 25 draft picks, and I just don't think they are getting it done. So getting a guy like Styles out of Ohio State would be something. I don't know if he's going to fall to him. I've seen draft boards saying that the Giants are looking at Styles, so he may not fall all the way to 10. But that's kind of who they probably are targeting. And then the other option would be Falk on the defensive line out of Auburn. I've seen him on some draft boards, probably going between uh, 7 and 12, so he falls right into that range, and they've got to find somebody to help replace. They've got to find somebody to help replace Hendrickson. I personally would also be looking at Bain Jr. at the 10 hole because my research tells me that the Cowboys would be interested in Bain if he would fall to 12, but I think there's some reports coming that he's going to be actually taken before that. He's showing well in his combines and his stuff. So I kind of expect him to go off the board before he gets to the 10th hole where these guys are sitting. But that's my prediction, Brandon, on Cincinnati. Bet the under here before the draft. I mean, if they have the best draft ever, maybe. But I'd say bet the under before the draft because I think that number is just going to fall after we see how weak their draft is.
Yeah, I don't know how you turn this around in one draft. When you concentrate all of that money on the offense and you
Yeah.
go, "Hey, we have a good player that's kind of been the anchor of this defense, and we're not going to figure out a way to pay him and keep him," and just go, "Okay, we're going to restart," and you end the year with a 32nd ranked defense. Like, it's all great if your offense can go out there and score as many points as they want, but when you get 6 wins last year and you go, "Hey, are we gonna get to 10?" With, at best, the same coaching staff and a couple of rookies added to your defensive line,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, they can get better, but I don't know where you go get 4 wins in the draft,
Yeah.
year 1. So, yeah, it seems very rich to bring
Yeah.
them all the way up to 9.5 wins
Yeah.
just
I
because they
don't
have
see it happening.
Burrow.
Just
Yeah,
don't see it happening. Who I think it's the Ravens now, right? The Steelers
it
actually
is.
they had a tied record, but the Ravens got in or the Ravens didn't make the playoffs, Steelers did.
Yeah, yeah, no, Baltimore had a shot to win and tie them and have the tiebreaker. They ended up at 8 wins. They went 8-9. Some of the same sort of stuff that we're looking at that we just talked about with Cincinnati, where you go, Vegas comes out, sets their over-under at 11.5.
Whew.
They're tied for the highest over-under in the league with the Rams. Um, right now, heavily bet to the under because we have some of the same thing going on with the Ravens that we always do, right? They lose 5 of their first 6. They go on a winning streak, and then they lose 4 of their last 6 to just choke away a shot at getting past a Pittsburgh team that fine, but were in no way impressive and just choke away their shot. And so we end up firing Harbaugh, deciding that Harbaugh is going to leave, however the hell that worked.
Right.
Harbaugh takes himself up to New York, and Jesse Minter moves into the coaching role, and they then go on this excursion, right? We have probably the biggest story in the NFL
Yeah, yeah.
in the offseason of them going, "Hey, we're going to trade. We're going to bring Crosby out here." Henderson didn't resign. This guy's got a bum knee. We're sending him back to the desert, and we'll grab Henderson. They bring him in. They bring in Jalen Hawkins. They let some guys go. This was the interesting thing that jumped out the page to me is Isaiah Likely,
Yep.
Ardarius Washington, Patrick Ricard, all follow Harbaugh
Yeah.
up to the Giants. And then Keaton Mitchell, Charlie Kolar leave. They run to the other Harbaugh brothers out in LA. So they
Pretty
got
interesting, isn't it?
5 guys depart the team, and they just split up and follow the Harbaugh family to other teams. Coincidental? Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. But that's the kind of thing when I think about the way that we used to manage teams.
Yeah.
And you go, if I can't take them, maybe I'll tell somebody else I know to take them,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So that's interesting. I don't
Yeah.
think it really matters. It's whatever. But that did jump off the page to me when you have family members managing 2 teams
Yeah.
and one of them leaves the other one. So that kind of made me chuckle. So Baltimore is sitting here at the 14th pick. And in my name, we're going to go back to my thing always. What do we have a problem with? Lamar gets banged up. He doesn't have enough time. So for me, offensive tackle. There's a guy there at 14. We've got Spencer Fano right there in that range. That may be the guy, Monroe Freeling, some of that offensive tackle that can come in and can keep Lamar upright and hopefully start opening holes again for Derek. I don't know. That was a weird thing at the end of the year. It seemed like they got bored running the ball. Hopefully
Right.
Minter shows up and somebody just pulls him to the side and goes, "You got a battering ram." The only time he doesn't get yards is when you don't give him the ball or he fumbles. Look, he's got a fumbling problem. I don't know what to tell you about that. It's, one of the downsides to, having a dude that can run through anybody. Sometimes the ball pops out. I don't know. They ended the season not making the playoffs, but being ranked is the 5th best team.
Okay.
12th best offense, 7th best defense, right? So I think, my mind, that leads me down the road of, okay, if we've got the 7th best defense, I don't know what their thoughts are of losing 2 safeties, going at re-signing 1, and then bringing in Hendrickson. To me, that feels like a net positive.
Yeah.
So for me, unless you just get a guy that falls and you go, we really liked this guy on the defensive side, I don't like to be overly simplistic with this sport, but get yourself some big dudes that have light feet and let them open up some holes for you.
Yeah.
Like, we got offensive tackles here. You start looking down, the ratings, and it's just littered with offensive tackles. Get you one.
Yeah.
Maybe decide this is the year we're going to go for it. Use some other draft capital. Get you a second one. I don't know, but they have one problem, and it's they get bogged down late in games and they give up leads. So figure out a way to fix it and pick a lane and do it. So to me, it seems as easy as that.
Yeah. I agree. I think I fully support that thought process. The mocks that I keep seeing show Ione out of Penn State,
Okay.
Olagavega Ione, interior offensive lineman. He'd be great running in front of King Henry. That would really probably be the best move. Yeah, I mean, I've seen him on NFL, CBS. I'm just kind of skipping through here. Just to give a shout out here. I look at all these mocks just trying to gauge where guys are falling. Mel Kiper Jr. as of
Yeah.
today has Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon at Baltimore. And he's going, he
Interesting.
basically saying, hey, giving Lamar the fastest tight end ever at the combine with likely leaving and Mark Andrews being 31 doesn't feel like a horrible idea. And I'm going,
Look,
man, that's kind of interesting.
that is not a horrible idea. I don't know that's where look. I think that is a great idea to go. Let's move up from the second round and go get. He seems like Sadiq seems like the back half towards the end of the first round, maybe even into the second round. There's the opportunity for it to fall that far. So, at the 14th pick, I go, I like people being aggressive because that's nothing but being aggressive. If you take a tight end when you already have Mark Andrews and go, I'm going to grab this guy with a 14th pick when we have an offensive line problem, I'll be cheering for it. That'd be awesome.
That would be
But
fun.
I
But
just,
somebody's
yeah,
gonna reach for that guy. I think
yeah,
the tight end position is so valuable in creating mismatches that somebody's gonna reach. I don't see this Sadiq falling past 20. One of these teams that has no business taking a tight end is gonna take it. Probably the Cowboys. But somebody is going to reach and go get this, where they, instead of being smart and picking a player that is a foundational guy that they need, they're gonna reach for Sadiq, who's kind of like this toy. Um, who knows? Maybe it'll be the Jets.
Well, and look, if your guys watched him at the combine and talked to him,
Yeah,
and what he says can back up what he did on the field, then
maybe.
that's the kind of thing that wins you Super Bowls.
Yeah, you never know.
You go out there and you find Gronk and you win Super Bowls on the back of a guy like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Yeah, I don't know if this
you
guy's
know,
that guy, but maybe he is. I don't know.
well, not the same strengths, but when you put a guy that's a game changer in the tight end position, it completely changes the way that defenses have to deal with your team. And if he can be the kind of guy that goes, I'm really good at doing these things, I know how I'm going to get better at doing some of the other things that I need to get better at, and you believe him, and you want to run the kind of offense that utilizes him, then he is a perfect guy to just go, okay. Like, you have to have the other things. It's kind of a running back sort of situation.
Yeah,
Not as narrow, but like, you need to have the rest of your offense kind of situated and go, okay, we know what we're doing. And now let's take this guy that's just a weapon and just go, oh, yeah, sometimes he comes out of the backfield. Sometimes he stands at the tight end. Sometimes we split him out. Have fun chasing him around.
yeah.
He's fast as shit and big. Like, we'll put him wherever, and we're just going to create mismatches where we find little guys and have him just boxing them out
The
for
mismatch
8-yard
is gonna be
passes.
crazy. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fun. Somebody's gonna have fun with this guy.
And look, everybody that you pair with Lamar and Derek looks like it would just be a blast of a year. You just get more toys to go with those two guys who already is just the pinnacle of old school football. Where you just go, we're gonna have two guys behind the line. Either one of them might have the ball. They might do anything. Good luck figuring that out. And the fact that Baltimore hasn't been able to figure out how to turn that into even getting to a Super Bowl is how coaches that have been around for 20 years lose their job, first of all. And then the rest of these guys end up on the hot seat because, if they bring in a new coach and try to run a new offense and this all comes apart again, that GM's going to be the next guy getting the knock because you can't waste Lamar's entire career screwing around like that.
And they might. You just never know.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump to the Steelers now, but before I do it, I'm gonna have a flash news break. I just
Yeah.
received word from ESPN that published 2 hours ago out of Rams camp that apparently Puka Nakua has checked into rehab.
Oh, yes. I saw that.
And but it's like completing it for life issues because of battery charges.
Bit
Uh,
a lady.
yeah, bit some lady or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Him and Tiger Woods are making noise right now. So, uh,
Yeah.
they McVay's like, oh, he's a great kid. He'll be fine. He's dedicated. He understands his responsibility. McVay's doing damage control, but wow. Anyway, that was breaking news across my ticker. On to the Steelers.
McVay's the kind of guy that can at least back up. He has enough professional capital to
Yep,
give the guy a little bit of a leash,
agreed.
you know.
Agreed.
But hopefully he can get himself straightened out, make restitution for
Act
if he
like
did
an idiot.
something for that and then get back to playing the sport.
You did say the Browns needed a receiver, right?
Well, I just, you're staring. Yeah. Well, you stare at a guy like
John
that
Watson
that
to Puka
is
Nakua.
close to unstoppable on the field. And we've got JSN up there in Seattle resetting the wide receiver market. And you would hope that he would be more focused on, I can get enough guaranteed money that like generations of my family are going to be, instead of screwing around, saying wild nonsense, injuring civilians, just the whole 9 yards. Like, you have it right there in your hands at least Tiger is already a billionaire.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know,
He's just messing up his own
comes on
life,
the back
his
end
own
of
career.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least he has already done the thing, and it seems like he has lingering issues from being a person that transforms an entire sport that, you know, hopefully somebody will be able to help him. Naku hasn't even got started yet. If he
No.
screws this up, he just ends up being a guy that somebody goes, "Hey, you remember the
Yeah.
guy, Puka?" You know?
Man, he
And
catch
so
football the
yeah,
way he was
hopefully
a
he
dummy.
gets the help he needs and some people get around him and go, "Hey, what if you just sat at home for a while?
Yeah.
Maybe go to the gym, you know, have you ever played PlayStation before? We'll get you hooked up with one.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
more podcasts,
Yeah. This
no more
we're not gonna let you leave your house. Okay.
whatever Trevor Bauer was into, you could just leave that alone. Like, you could just
Ah. Oh,
just don't. Do not screw up your life and other people's just because you have idle hands all summer.
oh, yeah. Oh.
Oh,
Okay. Speaking of idle hands, those of us that
Jesus.
gamble on sports have to be looking at this Pittsburgh Steeler number going, the Steelers are 10-7. Do you want to gamble on Aaron Rodgers coming back? His the Steelers number is 8.5. If Rodgers comes back, I'm saying over. If Rodgers doesn't come back, I'm saying under. I mean, I think that's as simple as it is for the Steelers right now. Can you gamble?
I just I I don't know. Like what are you going to change that is going to allow Rodgers to be a version of what he has shown flashes of? He's a year older. He's got another year of being hit. He didn't like getting hit last year.
No. So they signed Pittman out of the Colts, which is not a terrible signing for the record.
No.
They need offensive lineman help. I'm seeing Lomu there, maybe Caden Proctor out of Bama.
Yeah.
Lomu's out of Utah. If they can get a little O line help, they've got the big tight end. They got DK Metcalf. They've got Pickens. If Rodgers comes back, what are they going to do? They need to focus on everything they can to support him. But I think 10 wins is not out of the question when he plays 4 games against the Bengals and the Browns. Looking at their schedule is probably going to be the most critical when you're making your bet. So don't do it without looking at it. But I can tell you this, that there's a chance the way Mike McCarthy screws things up that he will screw this up and just give anything he can to get Rodgers in. They don't need a wide receiver right now. They need offensive linemen to help protect him. But there's a pretty damn good
Yeah.
chance that he'll go out and try to find a receiver because Rodgers likes him when they draft receivers. And he wants Rodgers to come back. So he's going to try to do everything that he can to appease to this prima donna superstar who's old and doesn't throw the ball as well as he used to. But they don't have any better options. I kind of like Will Howard as a player from when he was at Ohio State, but I still don't know if he's NFL caliber ready. Um, we haven't seen enough of him to know, and clearly the pundits are out there saying that if Rodgers doesn't come back, they got to draft somebody and find another route. So somebody doesn't like Will Howard very well, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like any way you go, you're just guessing,
Yeah,
which has to be frustrating if you're a Steelers fan or even the coaches. Like you have to go like, look, that Rodgers can make the throws,
yeah,
but it's hard to consistently create the opening for him to make those throws when he legitimately has a hard time moving around
yeah.
and then went another year. And so, yeah, I'm honestly at a loss with this. I find it hard to believe that they get over the 8.5. I mean, when it comes down to it, we're looking at 8.5. It's trading flat right now. It's minus 110 both directions. And I think it's just an example of the entire market going like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
You
know.
know, you ain't just you're picking for me again, you're in the exact right spot. If you don't know, grab
Offensive lineman.
grab offensive lineman.
I mean, legitimately, the AFC North, as we wrap up the AFC North, every team could not go wrong with taking offensive linemen. There's enough of
Yeah.
them to go around, and they need to go. They're at the bar. They're give me four. I'll take four offensive linemen
Yeah.
right here, and
Uh-huh.
then we'll take four wide receivers right here, and then we'll all go see what we can do if we pick the right ones. Because ultimately, they all need the same thing. They need receivers, they need defensive linemen, and they need offensive linemen. They all need the same. They're
Well, and
all
I
pretty
think,
decent in other areas.
for for years there were teams that were always focused on, winning through their line.
Yeah,
And now it feels like almost all the teams have figured out, like, okay, this is the thing. And it's a little harder on the defense because you can construct the defensive line a bunch of different ways, depending on what kind of defense you're going to run, how many people you're going to try to put their hand on the ground, those sorts of things.
yes,
But the offensive line is just so straightforward that we need big ass athletic guys because the only thing you can't buy more of is time. Unless you're in the NFL,
yeah,
then you can with giant dudes because they will create time for you.
yes, they
So,
will.
it's the one place on earth you can buy yourself time. And, the teams that know how to get out of their own way, I hope, have internal grading systems that can separate these guys.
I like it.
Because you can look at all these mock drafts and every one of them kind of looks at these guys different ways.
Yeah,
They all have like, arm length and, size and, different things they're looking for on the footwork. But the reality is that they have to work in concert with each other across those five. They have to work as one. And if you can figure out how to plug and play to go, okay, we need a guy here, that's our real soft spot. We just need a guy that's going to work with those other four guys and slide them in. And that's going to be the difference between the over under here
yeah, absolutely.
when it comes down to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely agree. I think every one of these teams is lined up very similarly, especially with their over under. I think taking a look at it, I think I'm comfortable with since he's going under the 9.5 for the Steelers. If Rodgers comes back, I'm comfortable with the over 8.5. But I think he'll have to play that before he makes his decision because once he does, I think that jumps up to 9.5, maybe even 10. I don't think 10.5, but with them at 10 last year, it's possible.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we're at here. But Sandman Nation, we are the St. Louis Syndicate. And that's our wrap up of the AFC North. We'll talk more about who these teams should draft in the coming weeks as we get close to our draft special coming up here in just a few weeks. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Catch our next episode.
Cheers.